my name is TeJay Rogers. I'm a guitar instructor in the Meridian, Idaho area. I've been teaching full-time for about 15 years now, and Skype lessons are actually an integral part of how I teach lessons. Today, I want to show you guys how I have that set up, how I use it, and just give you a little bit of advice. Let's get started. Right, so first things first, this lesson is really for two audiences. One, for any music instructors that are considering using Skype for whatever reason, whether it's sickness or weather or traveling. If you want to use Skype, I just want to show you how I have it set up, so hopefully it will help you get your set up. Secondly, this is for any of my students or parents of students that are curious about how Skype lessons might work with me. Seeing this setup will let you know how I have it set up and hopefully give you some confidence that it can work in the case that you're sick or you need to miss a lesson, you just can't quite make it to the studio. You can use Skype as an alternative to taking one-on-one lessons. So first things first, I'm going to cover a couple bullets here, and I apologize, I'm going fast. I'm trying to get this done fast so that everybody can see it. And so I'm going to be reading some bullets here, a little less professional, I'm sorry, but that's how I'm going to do it. So the things that I'm going to cover today in this video are my setup, how I have everything set up, what you really need to run Skype lessons as a teacher, what your students need to get Skype lessons up and running, and then how my workflow actually works using my computer and all the cameras that I have. So starting right now with my setup, and I'm going to go from left to right. If you were looking from left to right at a still shot of my desk, I have over here to the left some clamps and an audio interface, which is a Line 6 HX stomp. It's only for guitars. And I'm going to point this out a little bit quicker in a minute. I have a computer, I have two webcams, and then over here to the right, I have some whiteboards and stuff that I use to write on. So starting over here at the left, let me just kind of show you close up a little bit some of the things that I use. These are small rig clamps. They're meant for cameras, and they can literally clamp. If you look here, there's a thread at the top. You can screw any kind of camera, a webcam or regular camera onto here, and you can clamp these things anywhere. I use these to clamp to the edge of my desk. Once in a while, I teach guitar lessons, and so once in a while I'll clamp them to the edge of my desk, and that allows me to get close-ups of my hands so that my students can see on the screen what it is I'm trying to show them how to do. Works pretty nice. Then over here I have a Line 6 HX Stomp, really cool guitar effects processor. This is actually pretty new to my setup, and I'm pretty excited to use it. It works as an audio interface, allows me to do electric guitar sounds directly in to my computer and make things just sound a little bit better. As far as acoustic sounds go, I just let my microphone on my computer do that, and it's good enough. I can usually hear through my students' microphone plenty well what they're doing and whether something's out of tune or right or wrong. And they've never complained. They've been able to hear me just using the regular microphone. I have used audio interfaces in the past, and just the setup is kind of a pain when you're trying to get everything going on the fly. And so I just use that microphone. Now looking straight ahead at me, in front of me, I have my computer, obviously, that I use. It doesn't matter what you use. I'm using an iMac. In fact, speaking of it doesn't matter what you use, you could use a phone or a tablet, a laptop, or a desktop. I have up top here, I have a Logitech camera. I can't remember the model. I'll put that in the description. And I have a second one, identical, over here on this other monitor that I have, and it's pointing down, and I'll show you that in a minute when we talk about my workflow, but it's pointing down at a small whiteboard where I take notes and my students can see what I'm writing, so I can write down chords or any musical theory things that we're working on. So that's my setup in a nutshell. Really, it's quite simple. It's not very complicated, and to get started, you don't need that much. So speaking of that, that kind of segues us into what you really need to get started with Skype lessons. What you really need to get started with Skype lessons, it's actually quite simple. All you need is one webcam. That could be, like I said before, on your tablet, a phone, or your laptop, or a desktop, or a standalone separate webcam. Doesn't matter, you just need one. You need Skype or another like-minded application. Then you need good lighting. Now this is actually kind of important. It doesn't have to be fancy lights like you see in all those camera YouTube videos and stuff. You just need decent lighting in the room that you're in, whether using a window or some lamps or something to make sure that you're well lit. Web cameras try to adjust for poor lighting, and the more poor the lighting is, the more they're trying to make things look brighter, and it messes with the quality of the picture. It makes things kind of noisy. Yeah, anyways, you want the best picture you can provide for your students at little cost, and lighting actually can be one of those things. Very inexpensive. Just make sure you have lights on that are good and they're pointing at you. You're good to go. And then from there, the only other thing that you need is a good internet connection. If you don't have that, you're going to have video stalls, call drops, and all kinds of technical problems. So make sure you have a good internet connection. So let's go over real fast now what your students need to make this work out. It's actually quite simple. They need a lot of the same things that you need in order for this to work. So first, they need to have one camera. And once again, that could be on a phone, a tablet, or an iPad, or a standalone webcam. It doesn't really matter. We just need to be able to see their faces and talk to them. Also, it's really good if you can get them to sit in a position where, like if they're playing guitar, for example, you can see their hands, you can see what they're doing. If they're playing piano, then you might need to have them point their hands down at the camera or something, but I don't know. That's different from what I do, but you can be creative and figure it out. So the second thing is the same application that you're using. So if you're using Skype, they need to have Skype and a Skype account. A lot of my students use their parents' Skype account to get a hold of me. Third, they need to have a notebook and a pen. What I found is in private lessons here, one-on-one, I can use a sticky note or something to write down what they need to do. When we're talking through video, I can't do that. And so I make sure to have a few minutes right at the end of the lesson where I literally have them write down exactly what their assignments are in a notebook so that they know and they don't forget what it is they need to do to progress. Now, let's move on to my workflow. So what I like to do now is actually just bring you over to the screen here and show you on my computer the programs that I use and how I use them. It's actually very, very simple. Should be pretty quick. So looking over here at my screen, you'll see over here on the left I have this app up. It's called ManyCam Studio, and what this is it's a software that allows me to actually kind of switch back and forth between the two webcams that I'm using as I'm teaching lessons. And I'll just kind of show you here. If you look on my screen, you can see my headshot right now. If I click on this other little square down here at the bottom and I transition, it goes over to this whiteboard that has the word test written on it with a dry erase marker there to kind of give you an idea of the size of the little white screen that I'm using here. But I use this a lot to give my students information like chords. Sometimes we use it for like the cycle of fourths and things like that. Anyways, so these are literally right now for the last 6-7 months the only two cameras that I've been using, and it seems to work out pretty nicely for me and for my students. The second application that I use is obviously over here on the right, Skype. Now I have it set up right now so you can't see my students and their names and stuff, but You can't see me, so you can Skype me anytime you want. Anyways, but I use this. It's very straightforward. People call in, you answer, and you can see them. One feature on here that I do like to use a lot is the chat feature. What I found is while I'm talking to students, if I find something online, I can drop links into the chat and send it to them so that they can open up chords for songs that we find online, and also YouTube links to videos that we're talking about. I've even once in a while I'll write out chord charts for them, and I can scan them and drop them in as PDFs into the chat part of Skype, and it's really handy. We just send stuff over. At the end of the lesson, when I am helping my students make their personal notes of things they need to work on for the week, I actually type those out into the chat section of Skype, and that gets saved. So the next week when I open up a Skype with them, I can look at the past chat conversation we had, and I can see right there the notes, the things that they needed to work on, and be able to follow up with them. It's very handy. It's really quite simple. There's not a lot to it. You could do this on a laptop, maybe not Manicam, but you could do all the things I'm talking about with Skype on a laptop or a tablet, and be sitting pretty quick. So just in closing, a couple things. One, you don't necessarily need all the cameras that I have set up here. I started with just one camera, my regular webcam built into my computer, and started doing this. And so in the current world situation, if there's sickness going on around you and you need to do Skype right away, just use what you got. Really, to keep it very simple, like I said, you just need one webcam, Skype, some good lighting, and a good internet connection. And with that, you're good to go. Second, there's really, because of all this technology and how easily available it is to most of us, there's really no reason that anybody should have to miss a lesson. I can give you a few examples in the past that we've used Skype for. In the summers around here, used to be a big issue of a lot of students dropping because a lot of vacations and things like that. The last few summers, I've actually been able to keep lessons going with my students as they travel. I had students in the eastern states. I had students in Alaska. I've even had one in Guatemala. And it's amazing how we can actually still communicate. They never miss a lesson. And I've even had students, a couple other scenarios that we've had here in Idaho. A few years back we had some pretty bad snow. We were able to do Skype lessons with students when it was too snowy for them to drive to lessons. And I've actually had some students that actually moved to different states, but didn't want to stop taking lessons, and so they continue to take lessons with me through Skype lessons. It's actually kind of cool. And so there's no reason to miss lessons. The technology totally lets us take advantage of that. One last thing, and sorry that I'm rambling, but I'm just trying to give you the information. If you're going to do Skype lessons, make sure that you test your setup before you actually do lessons with your students, so that you know that your side of it, your end of it, there's no technical problems. Test it with family, like just do some Skype calls and show them things and make sure that it all works out. And then secondly, make sure that you educate the parents of your students and your parents on how to use Skype in lessons so that they're ready, and hopefully they don't have any technical difficulties. I've only had a couple times where we had a few difficulties and we had to reschedule the lesson because video wasn't working or something. But for the most part, if you're ready and you've already tested your setup, and if you've taught your students how to do it, then there shouldn't be any problems. From there, I really hope this helps you kind of get an idea of how to get your studio set up for Skype lessons. for all kinds of situations in the future. And I hope this helps my students see kind of how Skype lessons can be if you're needing to take a Skype lesson with me. If you like this and you want to see more things like this, please let me know in the description or in the comments down below. If you have questions about any of the applications that I'm using or the equipment that I'm using and setting it up and stuff like that, let me know in the comments, sorry. And then also, if you want more stuff like this, please do take the time to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and if you're interested in learning guitar, that's actually the main purpose of my YouTube channel, is learning guitar. And so if you're interested in that, please take the time to run over to my Patreon page and become a patron. For as little as $2, you can help me support and justify making more videos like this and for learning guitar. Thank you so much, and stay healthy.